this. So rethinking this, that's a lot of people. Again, it depends on the resources. And how small does the margin of error need to be? Well, that depends. So a lot of times we see this in, is it a majority of people that believe something or not, right? Do a majority of people think we need to get vaccinated to prevent more deaths from COVID? Do a majority of people plan to vote in the upcoming election? Do a majority of people support the current school board? Things like that. And majority, we usually mean 50%, right? So, or more. So majority, simple majority is greater than 50%, simple majority. And let's say we're trying to create a confidence interval for some situation, and we want to say a margin of error of 5%, if that was our target. If we think the sample proportion is around, say, 40%, say that was our p hat, and we have a margin of error of 5%, that would give us 45% up here and 35% for our low estimate on what's actually going on the population. And we could say, oh yeah, right, that's less than a majority of people that agree with whatever we're talking about here. However, right, if it's more like, say, 48% for p hats and our margin of error is 5%, then that means we're upwards of, what would that be, 53% on this side and 43% on the other side. And so somebody says, do a majority of people believe this? We're like, well, maybe. 50% is in our interval, so it could be, but maybe not. Over here, it's probably not. Probably not a majority. Here, it's maybe a majority. So conclusion here, most likely not a majority.
In statistics, is majority always over 50%, or does that vary?
Well, that depends, like on the situation. Like think about the Senate, the US Senate, there the majority is going to be greater than 60% for most things. So this right here, the 50% is just the idea of a simple majority. And statistics really doesn't weigh in on what a majority means, except for the fact that this is true universally. A simple majority is more than 50%. And then otherwise it depends on the situation. The point here is if our test statistic, our sample statistic, excuse me, is low enough compared to a margin of error versus a simple majority, then a 5% margin is good enough here. However, in this case right here, this might be a majority. And so then the question is, well, how bad does it matter if it's a majority, right? Do we need to invest more money to try and figure this out? And so maybe we need a bigger sample size to try and narrow this down. So if we got it down to, say, a 1.5% margin of error, then we could say, oh yeah, it's definitely under 50%, or most likely under 50%. So this target margin of error kind of depends on the situation, about what the questions being asked are and where the sample statistic lies. So unfortunately, the idea of how many should you survey and what should your margin of error be, there's no simple answer for that, except we can at least, based on these formulas, estimate how many individuals should be in the sample in order to get a margin of error that we think is reasonable. And that think is reasonable is the complicated part. No easy answer for that one.